I thought we might take a quick background look at what it's like and at what the historical ventures behind Māori in New Zealand, because when we went to that Learning at Schools conference with Stuart Middleton, he was really interesting. I found him really fascinating, and the things that he said were, it was just like a light. It was just like, wow, I knew that, but I didn't put all the little pieces together. So I thought it's good for us to get a look at, okay, so I found this slideshow which was done at at Auckland University. They use it for pre-European times and Māori going into when Europeans arrived. So it's a little bit of background behind, mainly behind the vocab I'm looking at. Okay, so everybody started with the iwi, and everybody belonged to one. So that was a really important thing. Okay, after that we came to the reo, so your language. Not everybody spoke the same type of Māori, there were different dialects. That's pretty straightforward. And then you had your kawa and tikanga, which is your unique culture, so your customs and protocols. Cool. And then we had things like your mana and your ture, which are just all, it's all up there, I'm not going to read all of it. So one of them was the power, your identity and power was your mana, and laws. Cool. And then we had oh yeah, loyalty. So it was loyalty to your tribe. So you do hear a lot about that on TV, especially on Māori TV. Okay, no, Ngāti we're really quite staunch now. You know, and everybody comes from somewhere, and kids really relate to that. They really relate to the iwi thing. Cool. And then talked about your whānau, which is pretty straightforward. Cool. So we went through all these things. So your hapu is your sub-tribe, or it's your sub-tribe within a tribe. And then your whānau, which is your immediate whānau. We also think that our brothers and sisters and cousins, they're also, a lot of us consider that immediate whānau as well. So when you say like your whānau, you could be talking about 4, you could be talking about 30. Cool. Then we talk about, this is the spiritual side of Māori tāna. So you're talking about your Māori, your Māori, which is your life force. And then we've got our wairu, our spiritual beings. And then so we've got respect and all these other parts. Now all these parts make up what we consider our whare. Oh sorry, I'll just go back to that one. So all these parts make up what we believe is being Māori and holistic approach. Cool. And then what happened with colonisation is many of these parts started to be broken away, or it was just misunderstanding, I believe. So when things started to happen, when land started to be taken, that was part of our whenua. When some mana was lost because of the change of leadership. So a lot of tribal chiefs didn't understand what was happening. They were giving away things that they didn't know not to be given away. All sorts of misunderstandings. So it really broke down where Māori have been, and a lot of that is about rebuilding. So a lot of the education is about rebuilding our mana as Māori. And I believe that this is a real reflection of where some students are at. Okay, a lot of them have been brought up in a Māori background, and I consider myself what we call urban Māori, brought up in the city. Although I always go home, I always go home. I'm from the East Coast. I always go home. I make sure my kids know their whakapapa and all of that sort of stuff. So it's two cultures built into one, and it's really relevant to most of our kids in New Zealand. A lot of them don't go back home because of their parents or their grandparents or whatever reason it is. A lot of them feel quite lost. But they don't know why, and they don't know how, and they don't know how to fix that. So I just thought that was a very interesting concept that they brought up of the whole whānau. And I'm not saying all kids, I'm saying that's a real minority of kids would be in this boat. Cool. So that gives you a little bit of background on the historical features of being Māori. Cool. So what does this mean? All right. This is all in the document, and if you want to read it, go for it. But I reckon that I've just highlighted a few points that I think is really important for us in schooling. Because the document was set out for year 9 and 10, because they noticed that when students were going through to high school, that's where they lost their way. a bit. But I think it's really relevant for us because we're the ones sending them through. So, and I think we can do a lot more. I think we can do a lot more than what most high schools are doing because of our timetables and because we set our own timetables. So one of the main things that I think we really recognise, or which schools already do, but need a little bit more kaha, a little bit more oomph behind it, is acknowledging that Māori is being an advantage. I know at most intermediate schools that I've taught at, I see that the Pacific Island culture is quite strong, but the Māori, there's a little bit of shyness there, there's a little bit of whakama about bringing their culture forward, just particularly at intermediate stage. I'm not sure about high school and primary, it seems to be fine from what I've seen. So I think acknowledging that Māori is an advantage is a big thing. Cool. There's heaps of challenges, there's so many challenges, it's not funny. And one of the ones that I think we could do really well is transitioning from into secondary school, because we do that anyway. I do notice that I tend to, in my schools, I tend to focus on the Māori students who fear going to high school, who are really agitated and they're really upset about going because it's a change. And I know for Millie as well, we've talked about this in the past, that a lot of the students don't want to move on because they're scared of that change. So it's about them feeling comfortable with the change and us having to say, you'll succeed if you just do it, if you just go through and do it. Cool. And so they looked at two sides of it. They looked at less, you need to focus on these things less and focus on these things more. I think we do all of this stuff. I don't think we do it exactly to a T. But this one here seems to be the one that I thought was very, very interesting, because you can, I absolutely believe that inquiry learning can be targeted exactly for that. Reading and writing, and it's funny, we just read this article that we were given at school yesterday. Sione? Yes, there was this article in the paper, and you can have a look at it after, about Sione and why he wasn't achieving, and it was exactly the story. He, it's have a read of it afterwards.
Can we copy that?
Yeah, we can. So it talks about their distinctiveness and their culture. Cool. So, action plan for teachers. Here's what the document says that teachers should do. Should look for professional development programs, focus on language and learning support, effective teaching strategies, and knowledge into their tikanga. That's probably one of the hardest to do. Getting somebody who doesn't speak Māori to speak Māori regularly in their class is the hardest thing to do. So, and it's a fear of the language, and it's a fear of getting it wrong. And it changes, the attitude changes depending on where you are. So I guess you have to just, get your thermometer out at school and just be real and just use the people that you have in class. There's no problem with that. And that's a big dilemma for the government at the moment. I was just talking to Sue before about having Māori in the mainstream is quite a big push. Although this year they've taken the push off that because they wanted to get through national standards. So it's a whole lot of mixes, and there's a whole lot of reasons why people don't do it. But actually, it says in the document that we should be. And I know those fears because I have them myself. The action plan for principals, again, all of these things. But one of the biggest ones, I believe, should be that if you've got a Māori teacher who's doing well, why not getting other teachers in there to say why they're doing well? Why are they not taking a staff meeting on how to teach Māori and Pacific Island students and that sort of stuff?